is a blessing, and life is a lesson. Life is a setback, and life is progression. Life is uneasy, at times life is comfortable. Life will lift you up, and at times life will humble you. Life is a gift, you better thank the Lord for it. Every chance you get, someone is less fortunate. Life goes in circles, life throws you curveballs. Life can be deceiving like preachers in the church halls. Life isn't promised. If I could be honest, the fact that I'm alive, that time has me astonished. Cause I came from the underground, being tossed around, being lost and found. Now they adore the sound of the priest, far from a nuance. Verses are proverbs, written's are the new songs. Another song for the blocks and the avenues. Everything is plain, I don't speak to them in parables.
I wanna praise you, Yahweh.
I wanna praise you.
I wanna thank you, Yahweh. I'm so grateful.
I'm so grateful.
Yahweh. I wanna thank you, Yahweh.
For the power I see the world through different eyes. Every Sunday got the preacher telling different lies, hearing things that I really couldn't visualize. Should've listened, Big said you'd be hypnotized. I was a victim too, I say respectfully. They all up in the soup, don't know the recipe. Talking about I'm not who I was bred to be. Count me out, man, who made you the referee? Trying to get stripes, trying to cloud chase. At 19, I made an about face. Thanks to Christ, it's also about grace. And they lied when they said it ain't about race. But that's another song, I ain't the first to tell you. Woke up on a deeper and a surface level. Learned the laws and the Lord's changed my attitude. And the song is to show you how a gratitude. I'm so grateful.
I wanna praise you, I wanna thank you.
I wanna thank you.
Yahweh. I'm so grateful.
We're so
Yahweh. I wanna thank you. Yahweh.
Now let it ride.
I wanna praise you. I wanna thank you.
Spacious air, reflecting the way of life under the Florida sky. Even the lobbies funnel in the great outdoors.
Chosen.
I was set apart for God's use. Chosen. I was set apart for God's use. Formed in His image.
Chosen. They say the chain of Shaitan is not that strong. They say his time is running out, he ain't got that long. They say murder, kill, this is not that song. Said I won't amount to nothing, they got that wrong. Cause I was set apart, and I was shown the light. And if I get the kingdom, I'll be clothed in white. 1/3 will be delivered, and the rest were blinded. Their fate is set in stone, what you ain't read the fine print? Christ is gonna give a crown to us. In the end, we'll have the nations bowing down to us, with their faces to the ground to us. It's the truth, as crazy as it sounds to us. Jacob forever rules, and we're his precious jewels. Showed us love and patience, put us above the nations. And that's the gospel, thank God for choosing me. Bad news for you, is really good news for me.
I was set apart for God's use.
Chosen.
I was set apart for God's use. Formed in His image.
Let me tell you why. We have a different kind of shine, a different kind of mind. The rhythm's not the same, we're on a different type of time. With a different kind of pace, a different kind of race. The season's not the same, we have a different kind of taste. A different kind of salt, we are so not them. Got my sword and my shield, man, I'm so locked in. And when I came to serve Yahweh, I put my whole heart in. So I can't sit calm, I'm no Martin. And that's a reach, y'all, chosen to teach y'all. Every Sabbath you can find us in the streets, y'all. Dare ya Allah, my nickname is Priest, y'all. In the gym, they say that I'm a beast, y'all. Set apart, the nations all hate me. Set a trap, they lying in wait for me. Chris Paul, they don't wanna play with me. But if you love me, I'm asking that you pray with me. Cause
I was set apart for the Jews. Chosen. I was set apart for the Jews. Formed in His image.
chosen. And thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God have chosen thee to be a special people, chosen above all people that's on the face of the earth. That's Deuteronomy 7 and 6. That's you, black and Latin man. Chosen. That's you, black and Latin woman. Yeah. But we were chosen. Chosen.
Shalom, family. I'll give it just a couple more minutes. Let more people join in, and then we'll get started. Fairly simple class. Shouldn't be too long. So just a couple more minutes. Okay, Salaki. All right, let's go ahead and get started. I don't want to take too much of your time. No, it's a Thursday. Shalom to the family. Shalom to the brothers and sisters. So LOI Colorado will start doing our classes on Thursdays. So I try to have a class for you guys every Thursday. Then you guys know LOI Detroit will be on Fridays and Priest on Saturdays. So for the y'all that know, this class is Dress to Impress. Okay. The reason I named it that is a lot of people in Christianity, a lot of people will say, when it comes to the Most High, you could come as you are. So we're going to find out what Yahushua says about that. All right. So we're going to come out of Matthew chapter 22. Okay. Going to come out of Matthew chapter 22. All right. I'm switching back and forth. You guys can still see the screen, right? Okay. All right. So this is the book of Matthew chapter 22. And this is verse 1. This is Yahushua speaking a parable unto the people, right? So verse 1. And Yahushua answered and spake unto them again by parables and said, now we understand a parable is is a similitude, right? It's a similitude or a comparison, right? So Yahushua is giving the people a comparison of what the kingdom is like. Okay. Verse 2. The kingdom of heaven is like unto a certain king, which made a marriage for his son. All right. So we understand the metaphor there, right? Verse 3. And sent forth his servant to call them that were bidden to the wedding, and they would not come. Okay. So these people would not come to the wedding. All right. And you know, rather than bounce back and forth, I'm going to just go ahead and stay with this. But I will pull it out and I'll read them. All right. So what I want first is Matthew chapter 10 and verses 6 and 7. So this is the book of Matthew chapter 10, verse 6. But go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel, and as ye go, preach, saying, the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Right? So we are being bidded to this wedding. You see, it's our job to go out to the people and bid our people to the wedding. You know what I mean? So a lot of us go out and do that. We go to the highways and byways, and we are preaching the gospel of Yahushua to the people. Let's get another one. It's Revelations chapter 22 and verse 17. And the Spirit and the bride say, come, and let him that heareth say, come, and let him that is athirst come, and whosoever will, let him take the water of life freely. You see, so we can receive the word, we can receive the gospel freely. You see, like I said, a lot of us is supposed to go out and teach the word to our people and bid them to this wedding feast. You know, but some won't come. You know, that's something that we have to understand. You know, a lot of us want our families to come to the truth, you know, be in the truth, follow the Most High, and we all teach the word and give the word to everyone we can. And we have to understand that 2/3 will be cut off. You know, this is something that we just have to understand, you know. Let's go Isaiah chapter 55, verse 1 and 2. Book of Isaiah chapter 55, verse 1. Ho, everyone that thirsteth, come ye to the waters, and he that hath no money, come ye, buy and eat. Yea, come, buy wine and milk without money and without price. Wherefore do ye spend money for that which is not bread, and your labor for that which is satisfieth not? Hearken diligently unto me, and eat that which is good, and let your soul delight itself in fatness. You see, so, you know, a lot of people feel like, you know, a lot of people chase money. A lot of people chase material things, you know, but this is not a way that you can get into the kingdom. You know, we have to put in the work, you know, to get into the kingdom. You see, let's get another one. Let's go to Zephaniah 1 and verse 7. It says, hold thy peace at the presence of the Lord God, for the day of the Lord is at hand. For the Lord hath prepared a sacrifice. He hath bid his guests. You see, so even the prophet Zephaniah, he understands that we are being bidden to this wedding. A lot of the prophets understood that we are bidden to this wedding. Now, Yahushua is using the wedding as a parable, because we're married to him, right? We are supposed to be married to him. This is a lot of times why we're called adulteresses and so on and so forth when we step outside of the marriage, right? When we start to worship other gods, so on and so forth. But like I said in Matthew 22:3, some won't even come. Some won't even come. Let me see. Let me see if this is what I want. Let's go Jeremiah 25 and verse 4. And the Lord hath sent unto you all his servants, the prophets, rising early and sending them. But ye have not hearkened, nor inclined your ear to hear. You see, so like I said, some won't come, you know what I mean? So sometimes we go out to these highways and byways, we teach, right? Whether it be on the corners or whether it be at your job or any brother or sister that you run into that you are trying to get the word out to, that you're trying to bid to the wedding. Some of them is just not going to listen. Some of them is just not going to pay attention, and they're not going to come to that wedding, And like I said, this is something that we have to deal with, and this is something that we have to understand. I see some people like, oh, yeah, that brother's wicked. Now, you ain't even got to do all that. You just have to have an understanding that some won't do it, Just got to understand some won't do it. Let's jump down. Matthew 22:4 says, again, he sent forth other servants, saying, tell them which are bidden, behold, I have prepared my dinner. My oxen and my fatlings are killed, and all things are ready. Come unto the marriage. You see, so this king is bidding them, telling them everything is prepared. We have to understand the Most High says he knows the end from the beginning, right? Everything is prepared. You know what I mean? Everything is laid out. We're just playing this thing out. You see, we're playing this thing out. And he says, come to this marriage. You see? Let's see. Let's go to Luke chapter 10, verse 1 through 3. Says, after these things, the Lord appointed other 70 also, and sent them 2 and 2 before his face into every city and place whither he himself would come. Therefore said he unto them, the harvest truly is great, but the laborers are few. Pray ye therefore the Lord of the harvest, that he would send forth laborers into his harvest. Go your ways, behold, I send you forth as lambs among wolves. See, so us going out, to these highways and byways, this is us lambs going out to the wolves. You see, we got to understand it's a lot of people will hate us. A lot of people will hate us trying to bid them, trying to get them to be in the truth, trying to get them to follow the Most High. A lot of people's going to hate that. A lot of people hate it now. I know a lot of people that I deal with sometimes, they can't stand it. You know what I mean? Some people got their own doctrines, their own beliefs. You know what I mean? I can't stand when people be like, well, I believe it's a higher power, but I don't know if it's no God. And, like it's a whole contradiction when they, you know what I mean? Or they feel like they ain't got to do nothing. They feel like they can just live willy-nilly and it's all good. Yeah, it don't work like that. Let's go to the book of Acts, chapter 1. Yeah, that's fine. Let's go to verse 5. Matthew 22:5. But they made light of it and went their ways, one to his farm, another to his merchandise. Right? So a lot of people make light of you bringing them the truth. A lot of people don't take heed. You know, I say this all the time, right? A lot of people don't take the Most High serious because the Most High is not like directly in their face. You know, so they don't take it serious. You know what I mean? I've heard people say crazy stuff like, you know, oh, I know I'm going to hell. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm like, why are you even okay with that? Why are you even okay with saying that? Why are you even okay with having that type of mentality? You see, why would you be okay with that? That's just it's a silly way of thinking, right? Silly way of thinking. So, like I said, a lot of people made light of it, right? Let's go to Genesis chapter 19 and verse 14. Genesis chapter 19, verse 14 says, And Lot went out and spake unto his sons-in-laws, which married his daughters, and said, Up, get you out of this place, for the Lord will destroy this city. But he seemed as one that mocked unto his sons-in-laws. You see, so like they didn't believe him. You know, they didn't believe him. And that's, you know, like we seen the same type of situation when it came to Noah, right? A lot of people thought Noah was crazy. They ain't believe what he was talking about, you know, until the thing happened. You see what I'm saying? Then everybody want to get into the ark and stuff like that, right? So it's the same thing, you know. A lot of our people are being bid into this wedding and they're ignoring it. You know, a lot of people think they still have like 100 years left to live. You know what I'm saying? To where us as Israel, you know what I mean? We're like, man, Most High might be getting rid of this thing soon. You know what I'm saying? We looking at the times and everything like that, right? But like I said, a lot of people just they don't take heed to the warning, you know. Matter of fact, speaking of that, let's go to Luke 17. Luke 17 and verse 26. Luke 17, verse 26 says, And as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the days of the Son of Man. They did eat, they drank, they married wives, they were given in marriage until the day that Noah entered into the ark and the flood came and destroyed them all. Likewise, also, as it was in the days of Lot, they did eat, they drank, they bought, they sold, they planted, they builded. But the same day that Lot went out of Sodom, it rained fire and brimstone from heaven and destroyed them all. Even thus shall it be in the day when the Son of Man is revealed. In that day, he which shall be upon the housetop and his stuff in the house, let him not come down to take it away. And he that is in the field, let him likewise not return back. Remember Lot's wife. You see, so remember, like it says right here in verse 5, Matthew 22 and 5, a lot of people went their ways. One to his farm, another to his merchandise. You see what I'm saying? And they didn't take heed to it. You know, so just like in the days of Noah, just like Lot, you know, a lot of people didn't pay attention to it. They didn't care. You know, they just didn't care. But I say them people gonna find out. You know, people gonna find out. You know what I mean? What is it? Just because things aren't expedient, you know, just because things are, matter of fact, what is that? Ecclesiastes chapter 8, verse 11. Because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily. Therefore, the heart of the sons of men is fully set in them to do evil. You know, a lot of people want to stay in their wickedness, man. A lot of people want to stay in their wickedness. And that's, me personally, I pray for my people. I pray for Israel. Pray that all of Israel return to the Most High. But me personally, I understand. I understand that some people are going to stay in their wickedness. Some people enjoy, what does it say in John? They enjoy the dark. They love the dark rather than light. So a lot of people ignore the Most High. And another thing that I tell people all the time, some people don't come to the Most High because they feel like the Most High is going to take their fun away, because they got to be in order. They got to follow laws, statutes, and commandments, right? But that doesn't mean the Most High is going to take your fun away. The thing that you're looking at is being fun, is being a drunkard, smoking weed, fornicating, sleeping around, You could just look at the way of the world right now and see the things that they find fun, and which is crazy to me, but a lot of people feel like the Most High is going to take that fun away. But I mean, we all know in Israel, the Most High, man, the Most High kick it. We got a bunch of high holy days. We got new moons. We got a Sabbath every week. We got, we got all kind of stuff where we're always supposed to gather together and be with each other and, all that, right? All that. We're supposed to be together, but like I said, a lot of people think that he's going to take it away. But that's their own thoughts and own perception, right? Let's go to the book of Psalms, chapter 106, verse 24 and 25. Says, yea, they despised the pleasant land. They believed not his word, but murmured in their tents and hearkened not unto the voice of the Lord. This is something that Israel, we've been going through this time and time again. Remember, these curses and stuff like that, they're secular, right? We can't get right. As a people, we can't get right sometimes, man. And it's hard to bear, like I said, because I know our families is involved and all that, even all the way down to our children. Like I said, we want all of our people to come to this marriage. And we all know that it's probably just not going to happen, which sucks. It's sad, it's sad. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 1, verse 24 and 25. Says, because I have called and ye refused, I have stretched out my hand and no man regarded. But ye have set at naught all my counsel and would not select it, and would none of my reproof. Remember, Yahushua is going to plead with us, right? He's going to plead with us. But even then, some will still get cut off. So even if, like I said earlier, a lot of people don't follow the Most High because he's not right there in their face. But even when Yahushua was in the people's face, they still didn't follow him. Some of them still didn't follow him. So it's going to be the same way. You know what I mean? It's going to be the same way. It's just people who's rebellious. Let's just be honest. People are rebellious. People want to do their own thing, live their own life. A lot of people feel like they're the ones in control of their own life and destiny and their own outcome. But yeah, I think y'all are mistaken. You have to give the Most High the glory, and that's all the power. You know what I mean? So a lot of people ignore that. Let's go to the book of Acts, chapter 2, and verse 13. It says, others mocking said, these men are full of new wine. You see, so just like we seen, in verse 5, they made light of it, right? A lot of us who joined the truth, who came into the truth, our families and loved ones, they were like, shoot, they probably still do it. You know what I mean? Like, oh, yeah, those brothers is in a cult. Those sisters is in a cult. You know what I mean? Oh, you can't wear pants. You got to wrap your head. Oh, you need to wear your fringes. You know what I mean? Like, what harm does it a woman to dress modestly? Or what harm does it a man to wear fringes or, to teach the word, to try to bring his people back to the truth? You know what I mean? Like, what harm does it do? But then people, like I said, they complain and be like, oh, you're in a cult and, so on and so forth, So just like they said in the book of Acts, these men is drunk off of new wine, drunk off of new wine. And, a lot of people tend to mock the Most High and don't even understand that that's what they're doing, Let's see. Let's go Hebrews chapter 2. Hebrews chapter 2, verse 3 and 4. So, like, I'm trying not to make this too long, but I got kind of a few precepts in this thing. But it's all right. Bear with me. Hebrews chapter 2, verse 3. How shall we escape if we neglect so great salvation, which at the first began to be spoken by the Lord, and was confirmed unto us by them that heard him? God also bearing them witness, both with signs and wonders, and with diverse miracles and gifts of the Holy Ghost, according to his own will. You see, so like I said, it said, which at the first began to be spoken by the Lord and was confirmed unto us by them that heard him. So like I said, a lot of us go out and teach, a lot of us, even if some brothers have slightly different views on how they look at particular scriptures or so on and so forth, right? Those brothers or those sisters is still bringing it to the people, still, teaching them Yahushai, you know what I'm saying? Still telling them to keep the law, statutes, and commandments, so on and so forth. We might have something slightly different, but that's all right. None of us have it 100%, but you do have someone that is going to tell you, nonetheless, to come back to the Most High. You see, so it is put in your face. A lot of people try to use the excuse like, oh, if I don't know, then, I won't be punished, right? Well, I don't know how you wouldn't know, because this truth has to go out to all four corners of the earth. You see, so you're gonna catch wind of it sometime. You know what I mean? You're gonna catch wind of it sometime. Let's go to Matthew 13 and 22. Select. Okay. Matthew 13 and 22. He also that receives seed among the thorns is he that heareth the word, and the care of this world and the deceitfulness of riches choke the word, and he becometh unfruitful. You see, so when a lot of our people make light of things, they can hear the word sometimes. They can receive the word from someone, you know. Um, they can receive the word from someone, right? But then they have someone else in the corner that'll snatch it away. You know what I mean? They'll choke the word out. They'll snatch it away. They'll tell them, "Oh, that's wrong." You know what I mean? And it's probably someone that they trust. Someone that they believe in, someone they look up to. You know what I mean? So they snatch the word from them right away. If you tell someone some scriptures that they ain't never heard before and give them the truth, right? But their parent was raised in Christianity all their life, and they're like, "No, that's wrong." You know what I mean? It's gonna snatch it away. Let's go to Matthew. We'll stay in Matthew chapter 24 and no, I already touched on that. I was going to say 24 and 38 says, "For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and knew not until the flood came and took them all away. So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be." I kind of touched on that earlier, but it just kind of says it in a different way, right? Just kind of says it in a different way. Let's go to the book of Romans. Romans chapter 8 and verse 6 says, "For to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace." Right? Scripture says the spirit quickeneth, right? Which means to make alive. Living in the flesh is to be dead. You see what I'm saying? So we have to understand there is a spiritual side to this. This is why Yahushua is speaking of the kingdom in a parable. You know what I'm saying? So that way we get an understanding of what this looks like. You know what I mean? He's just giving us an idea of what the kingdom is going to be like, right? And the first thing is there will be bidded to the wedding. You see, that's the first thing. We will be bidded to the wedding. But like I said, a lot of people say, "Come as you are." But we got to think about that. We got to think about that. Let me get one more on this first. 1 Timothy 6, verse 9 and 10. It says, "But they that will be rich fall into temptation and a snare, and into many foolish and hurtful lusts, which drown men in destruction and perdition. For the love of money is the root of all evil, which while some coveted after, they have erred from the faith, and pierced themselves through with many sorrows." You see, so like I said in verse 5, some of them went back to their merchandise. Money is more important than the Most High to a lot of people. You know what I mean? Money's more important to them. I've heard people say, "I can't think about right now. I'm trying to get this money." You know what I'm saying? And I tell people sometimes, because sometimes I could be a jerk, and I'll tell them, like, maybe you ain't got no money because you ain't following the Most High. You steady chasing your tail in a circle like a dog and can't never catch it. So for the love of money is the root of all evil, right? All right. Let's go to Matthew 22 and verse 6. And the remnant took his servants and entreated them spitefully and slew them. Right? Let's go back to Matthew chapter 5, verses 10 through 12. Matthew chapter 5, verse 10 says, Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil things against you falsely for my sake. Rejoice and be exceedingly glad, for great is your reward in heaven, for so persecuted they the prophets which were before you. See, so this is not no new thing in Matthew 22 and 6. You see, it says they entreated them spitefully and slew them. The ones who was bidding them to the wedding. You know what I mean? This ain't no new thing. You know, a lot of prophets were killed. You know, the apostles was killed, you know, stuff like that, you know, for Yahweh name. Right? When Paul, what they named it, stoned Paul and all kind of stuff, you know what I mean? So we got to take it like it says in James, take it all pure joy, right? Take it all joy, you know. So because Yahweh just said in Matthew 5, blessed are you that go through that for his name's sake. And this is what these people are doing in this parable, right? So Matthew 22 and 7. But when the king heard thereof, he was wroth, and he sent forth his armies and destroyed those murderers and burned up their cities. See, we got, you know, we know, you know, Israel, we understand that the Most High, he got us. You know what I mean? If we going through this turmoil, and whether it be other nations or our people that is persecuting us in the, you know what I mean, behind us teaching Yahweh, behind us teaching the gospel, the law, statutes, and commandments, you know what I'm saying? The people that is murdering us and going against us and harming us and all that type of stuff, you know, throwing us in prisons behind it. You know, hey, we know the Most High got us, right? We know the Most High got us. And there's a reason I say some of our people too, you know. But let's go to Zechariah 14, verse 1 and 2. Salaki, y'all know I be trying to drink a lot of water when I'm doing class, you know, mouth get dry. All right. Book of Zechariah, chapter 14, verse 1. Behold, the day of the Lord cometh, and thy spoils shall be divided in the midst of thee. For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle, and the city shall be taken, and the house rifled, and the women ravished, and half of the city shall go forth in captivity, and the residue of the people shall not be cut off from the city. Like I said, there's a reason I said some of our people too, because, you know, our people that persecute us too. You know, remember that some of that's part of the curses, you know what I mean? To have an evil eye towards your brother, you know. So some of our people that persecute us too. And I went to this verse because it starts with us. You know what I mean? The wrath of the Most High starts with us, right? Let's get 1 Peter chapter 4 and verse 17. 1 Peter 4 and 17. First Peter 4 and 17 says, for the time is come that judgment must begin at the house of God. And if it first begin at us, what shall the end of them that obey not the gospel of God? You see, so we get the punishment first. You know what I mean? Because we should know better. Law, statutes, and commandments was given to us. Yahweh Shai was sent to us. You know what I mean? We should know better. So we received the punishment first. But then after that, and I believe this is what I want. Jeremiah 51. Jeremiah 51 and verse 20. After that, then Jeremiah 51 and verse 20 says, thou art my battle axe and weapons of war. For with thee I will break in pieces the nations, and with thee will I destroy kingdoms. So, like I said, it comes to us first, but then we are his battle axe, and he'll use us to destroy kingdoms and other nations. You see what I'm saying? So, like I said earlier, we got to understand Most High got us. Most High got us. Let's go to the book of Luke, chapter 19 and 27. Luke 19 and 27 says, but those mine enemies, which would not that I should reign over them, bring hither and slay them before me. You see? So, so this king, right, in Matthew 22 and 7, he was mad that his servants were killed and treated spitefully and so on and so forth. So he sent forth his armies, right? Now we know that the Most High is the Lord of hosts, and hosts just means armies, you see, and destroys those people, destroys their cities and so on and so forth. You know what I mean? And like we already said, it's a good thing to be persecuted in the name of the Yahweh Shai. See? Let's go to Matthew 22 and verse 8. Then saith he to his servants, the wedding is ready, but they which were bidden were not worthy. Not worthy. Some people are not worthy. Let's go to Matthew chapter 10 and verse 11. Matthew chapter 10, verse 11 through 13. Verse 11, and into whatsoever city or town ye shall enter, inquire who in it is worthy, and there abide till ye go thence. And when ye come into an house, salute it. And if the house be worthy, let your peace come upon it. But if it be not worthy, let your peace return to you. You see, so this is like when you're teaching people, or when you're teaching people the gospel, or when you're trying to bid them to the wedding, so to speak, and they're not listening. You did your part. You know what I mean? You did your part. The blood is off your hands, right? Is what it said, right? You warned them, you told them what was going on, you know what I mean? And you tried to get them to come back to the Most High, repent, so on and so forth, and they chose not to do it. You did your part, you see? Let's drop down to, we're still in Matthew chapter 10. Let's drop down to 37, 38. It say, he that loveth father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. And he that loveth son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. And he that taketh not his cross and followeth after me is not worthy of me. You see what I'm saying? Yahushua gives you some examples of what makes people not worthy. So when you're out teaching and talking to people or trying to bid them back to the Most High, you know, trying to get them to reconcile with the Most High, and these things are applied, you know what I'm saying? Because I see it all the time. I see people will ignore the Most High for their child, you know, or I was talking to a buddy of mine last night at work, and I say, I don't want to veer too far off, but I gave an example. Some people are not cool with, you know, like with same-sex relationships, right? Some people are just absolutely not cool with that at all, right? Until it comes to your family. When it comes to your front door, then you're accepting it now. Now you're okay with it. You know what I'm saying? Now you're embracing it. You know what I mean? And this happens a lot of times with our people, and when it comes to family and when it comes to friends and so on and so forth. And so you just turned your back on the Most High because it came to your family. You see what I'm saying? And a lot of people don't realize, or maybe they do realize it, but sometimes some people do it and don't realize that they just turned their back on the Most High. You see what I'm saying? This is why Yahushua is telling you that if you love your father or mother or son or daughter more than me, you're not worthy. You see what I'm saying? He's giving you examples. You know what I mean? When it comes to our families, especially, you will put yourself on the borderline, if not cross the border. You know what I'm saying? So this is why we have to be strong in the Lord. You see what I'm saying? Let's go to the book of Luke, chapter 20 and verse 35. Book of Luke, chapter 20, verse 35 says, "But they which shall be accounted worthy to attain that world and the resurrection from the dead neither marry nor are given in marriage. Neither can they die any more, for they are equal unto the angels and are the children of God, being the children of the resurrection." You see what I'm saying? So now he's giving you an example. You know what I mean? Now he's giving you an example of being worthy. You see? Let's go to chapter 21. We're still in Luke. 21 and 36. 21 and 36 says, "Watch ye therefore and pray always, that ye may be accounted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass, and to stand before the Son of Man." You know, so what are some of the things that makes us worthy, right? Faith in Yahushua, keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. Matter of fact, let me see if I can find it real fast. I think it's, oh wait, I think it's 14. Salakia. Well, we're gonna go over here anyway. Okay. All right. So let's go to the book of Revelation. This just popped in my head. Book of Revelation, chapter 14. Book of Revelation, chapter 14 and verse 12. Right. So this is some of the things that make you worthy, right? Revelation chapter 14, verse 12 says, "Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of God and the faith of Yahushua." You see what I'm saying? Put those together now, you know what I mean? Now you're on the track of being worthy. You know what I'm saying? You live this way. You know what I'm saying? Let's go to 22. Chapter 22, Salaki. Revelation 22 and 14, right? Says, "Blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have right to the tree of life and may enter through the gates into the city. You see, so Yahushua is actually giving you a layout of how you can be made worthy. You know, I think that a lot of people are just ignored. You know, I see this all the time, and it's so irritating. I don't know about for y'all, but it's irritating to me when people, you know, some of y'all might have Facebook, right? When people put in Facebook and stuff like that, like, and you probably know the person and you know they live terrible, you know what I mean? But as soon as they get a new car, they like, oop, hashtag blessed, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like this stupid stuff like that. Oh, God got me. You know what I'm saying? Knowing you don't do anything for the Most High. You know what I'm saying? But then you put it all on, you know, social media and stuff like that, and so people could be like, oh, yep, he do. You know what I mean? And it's just irritating to me. You know, that drives me crazy. All right, let's go. Matthew 22 and verse 9. Go ye therefore into the highways, and as many ye shall find, bid to the marriage. Right? So those servants went out into the highways and gathered together all as many they found, both bad and good. And the wedding was furnished with guests. Right? We're still in Revelation. Let's go. Oh, yeah. We're in Revelation 22 and 17. Book of Revelation, chapter 22, verse 17 says, and the Spirit and the bride say, come. And let him that heareth say, come. And let him that is athirst come. And whosoever will, let him take the water of life freely. Right? So if you come to this marriage, you know, because we're keeping in mind that Christianity says come as you are. But one of the things was for you to be worthy. You see? One of the things was for you to be worthy. Let's go to the book of Acts, chapter 13 and verse 47. Book of Acts, chapter 13 and verse 47 says, for so hath the Lord commanded us, saying, I have set thee to be a light of the Gentiles, that thou shouldest be for salvation unto the ends of the earth. Right? So when we're going to the highways and stuff like that, we are the light to the Gentiles. We are the light to the ones that's in the dark. You know what I mean? We're the ones trying to wake them up. You know what I'm saying? We're trying to wake them up. You know, because like I said, to the Most High, a lot of these people are spiritually dead. A lot of these people are blind, sleep. You know what I mean? Same with Ezekiel, you know what I mean, in the valley of the dry bones, right? Is it literally dry bones? No, he's trying to wake these people up. You see what I'm saying? Because they're spiritually asleep. They're spiritually dead. You know what I'm saying? So this is the same thing that we're trying to do. Just wake up our people. You know, some will take heed, some won't. Right? Now, here's where I really want to get to. Matthew 22 and 11 says, and when the king came in to see the guests, he saw there a man which had not a wedding garment. This is my key point right here. This is why I say dress to impress, right? Let's go to Zechariah, chapter 3 and verse 3. All right. Zechariah chapter 3, verse 3 and 4, right? Matter of fact, Zechariah chapter 3, verse 3. Now Joshua was clothed with filthy garments and stood before the angel. And he answered and spake unto those that stood before him, saying, Take away the filthy garments from him. And unto him he said, Behold, I have caused thine iniquity to pass from thee, and I will clothe thee with change of raiment. Right? I will clothe thee with a change of raiment. You see, so you can't come however you want to the Most High. Even with that priest Joshua that we just read, it said to get rid of the filthy garment, right? And it just made me think of something. Here you go. It's Colossians chapter 3 and verse 10. And this kind of just popped in my mind, right? He had to change from that filthy garment. You see, Colossians chapter 3 and verse 10, it says, and have put on the new man, which is renewed in knowledge after the image of him that created him. You see what I'm saying? You have to change. You can't come filthy to the Most High. That's not a thing. You see, I don't even know why people in Christianity say that crazy stuff. Let's get the book of Revelations, chapter 3 and verse 5. Book of Revelation, chapter 3, verse 5 says, he that overcometh, the same shall be clothed in white raiment. And I will not blot out his name out of the book of life, but I will confess his name before my Father and before his angels. You see what I'm saying? Yahushua is telling you, you'll be clothed in white raiment, right? Not the filthy raiment, not the filthy garment that you had on before. You'll be clothed in white raiment. Like I said, in Colossians, it's a new man. You know what I mean? It's a new man. Let's stay at Revelation. And let's go to 16. 16 and verse 15. Revelation chapter 16 and verse 15. Behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watcheth and keepeth his garments, lest he walk naked and they see his shame. So we understand that naked in the scriptures a lot of times has to do with shame or sin. You see? But Yahushua say, blessed is he that keepeth his garments. You know what I mean? You avoid the way of the world. You know what I mean? You avoid this temptation over here. You avoid to dive into sin. You avoid accepting your family being sinners and you being around it, and you're just like, yeah, all right. You know what I'm saying? You avoid that type of stuff. You keep your garment clean. You keep your garment clean. Let's go to chapter 19. Chapter 19 and verse 8. And this verse really shows who can come, who is able to get into this wedding, right? Revelation 19 and verse 8 says, and to her was granted that she should be arrayed in fine linen, clean and white, for the fine linen is the righteousness of saints. You see what I'm saying? So that clean garment, now you done renewed yourself, you done changed yourself, you done changed from that filthy garment, you done put on this clean garment. That is righteousness. That has to do with righteousness and purity. You see what I'm saying? That's what this is going into. So, like I said, you can't come to the Most High however you want to. That's not going to happen. All right. All right, let's go to Matthew 22 and 12. So remember, this king seen this man who didn't have a garment for the wedding. So verse 12 says, and he saith unto him, friend, how camest thou in hither having Salakia, hither not having a wedding garment? And he was speechless. Let's go to Matthew 5. Matthew 5, verse 20. Book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 20, it says, for I say unto you that except your righteousness shall exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, ye shall in no case enter into the kingdom of heaven. You see, so he's like, why don't you have a garment? See, the Pharisees, you know, they were the keepers of the law. You know, they sat in Moses' seat. Some of them followed just man's traditions. You see what I'm saying? So their garments weren't necessarily clean. Right? Let's go to the book of Acts, chapter 5. Chapter 5 and verse 2. Matter of fact, I'm going to read, I'll read down a little bit. Acts chapter 5 and verse 2. Says, and kept back. Salaki, I'll just start at 1. It says, but a certain man named Ananias with Sapphira, I don't know if I said that right, but you know, don't hate me. His wife sold a possession and kept back part of the price. His wife also being privy to it, and brought a certain part and laid it at the apostles' feet. But Peter said, Ananias, why hath Satan filled thine heart to lie to the Holy Ghost and to keep back part of thy price of the land? Whilst he remained, was it not thine own? And after it was sold, was it not in thine own power? Why hast thou conceived this thing in thine heart? Thou hast not lied unto men, but unto God. And Ananias, hearing these words, fell down and gave up the ghost. That brother died on the spot. You see what I'm saying? And great fear came on all them that heard these things. And the young man arose, wound wound him up, and carried him out and buried him. And it was about the space of 3 hours after when his wife, not knowing what was done, came in. And Peter answered unto her, tell me whether ye sold the land for so much. And she said, yeah, for so much. Then Peter said unto her, how is it that ye have agreed together to tempt the Spirit of the Lord? Behold, the feet of them which have buried thy husband are at the door, and shall carry thee out. Then fell she down straightway at his feet, and yielded up the ghost. And the young man came in and found her dead, and carrying her forth, bearing her husband. And great fear came upon all the church and upon as many as heard these things. Now, the reason I went here is because when he asked Ananias, he didn't say nothing. You see what I'm saying? He didn't say anything. He just died. You know, and the sister, she just, you know, she was just like, yeah, well, yeah, you know what I'm saying? So like it says in Matthew 22 and 12, that brother was speechless. A lot of people make excuses. A lot of people have nothing to say. You know what I mean? And this is going to happen. This is going to happen. You know, when it comes to judgment, when it comes to that judgment time, man, some of these people they're not going to have excuses. They're not going to be able to say nothing. Some of them just going to die on the spot. Some of them might try to make an excuse. You know what I mean? And they still going to be put to death. They still going to receive that judgment. You know what I mean? They still going to receive that. But like I said, some of them will be speechless. Some of them won't have nothing to say. Because what excuse can you make for the Most High? You can't. So some just go be speechless. You see? Matthew 22:13. Then said the king to the servants, bind him hand and foot and take him away. Cast him into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Now we know that these white raiments and garments, these clean garments, you know what I mean? We put off the filthy garment. We put on these clean garments, these white raiments, right? So this brother who has no garment, has no wedding garment, I'm going to be specific, who has no wedding garment, because remember, we're married to him. So this brother who has no wedding garment is bound hand and foot, thrown into outer darkness, and there shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Right? Weeping and gnashing of teeth. Matter of fact, let's go to Matthew 13:30. It's the book of Matthew 13:30. It says, let both grow together until the harvest, right? So you have the ones who put off the filthy garment, and you have the ones who, remember, was making light of it, who came to the wedding with no garment. They come up together. You know what I'm saying? They come up together until the harvest. You see? And in the time of harvest, I will say to the reapers, gather ye together first the tares and bind them in bundles to burn them, but gather the wheat into my barn. You see what I'm saying? Gather the wheat into my barn. So there'll be a separation, right? Even though you grow together, one has on a wedding garment and the other doesn't. And one gets bound and burned, right? Matter of fact, that made me think of something. Let's go to Amos 9. Just made me think of this. Amos 9:9. I really like this verse too, you know, because some people think that all nations can be saved, right? That everyone has rights to the kingdom. You know what I mean? We'll see. So this is Amos chapter 9, verse 9. It says, for lo, I will command and I will sift out the house of Israel among all nations. Like as corn is sifted in a sieve, yet shall not the least grain fall upon the earth. So even though Israel is scattered all across, you know, the four corners of the earth, it say that he's going to sift us out. You see, so even if, let's say, a brother that is Israel, so to speak, comes to the wedding with no garment, you know, if you grew up around a bunch of people with no garments, you know what I'm saying? They have on filthy rags, but you're the only one with a garment. The Most High is going to sift you out. He's going to separate you. He's going to sift you out from them. Right? Salaki, I don't know why I thought. I mean, I know why I thought of it, but okay. What else? Let's get Revelation 21. Revelation 21. And 17. Revelation 21:17 says, and he measured the wall thereof 144 cubits, according to the measure of a man that is of the angel. Salakia, that's my fault. Not 17, 27. 21 and 27. Salakia. Apologize. 20, verse 27. And there shall in no wise enter into anything that defileth, neither whatsoever worketh abomination or maketh a lie, but they which are written in the Lamb's book of life. You cannot, and this is the whole point of this, like I said, dress to impress, right? You cannot come to the Most High however you want. You have to put on the new man. You have to put on the new garment. You see? Can't come however you want. That, I don't know, like I said earlier, I don't know where Christianity got that from, but you cannot come to the Most High however you want. That's not a thing. You see? Let's go to Matthew 25. And verse 30. Matthew 25 and verse 30 says, and cast ye the unprofitable servant into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth, right? So the unprofitable servant, that one who kept his filthy rags on, that one who never changed, that one who never put on the new man, that one who had no care in mind about having his garment on for the wedding feast, that one cast into outer darkness. You're an unprofitable servant. You see what I'm saying? You are unprofitable. Let's go to 2 Peter chapter 2 and verse 4. This is crazy. This is like the fastest I've ever found scriptures. Flip to scriptures. You know what I mean? All right. This is 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 4. For if God spared not the angels that sinned, but cast them down to hell and delivered them into chains of darkness to be reserved unto judgment. You see what I'm saying? Like, if the Most High is not sparing the angels, or if he's not sparing certain people, right? What makes you think that you can just approach however you like, or as you are, as the church says? What makes you think that? Right? Let's drop down to verse 17. It says, these are wells without water, an unprofitable servant, right? These are wells without water, clouds that are carried without tempest, to whom the mist of darkness is reserved forever. You see what I'm saying? Like I said, that well without water, you're unprofitable. What good are you? You know what I mean? What good are you? Let's go to the book of Jude. And this is the only chapter, verse 6. Book of Jude, verse 6. And it says, and the angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, he hath reserved an everlasting Salakia. He hath reserved in everlasting chains under darkness unto the judgment of the great day. There's already a place set for those unprofitable people. You know what I mean? Which kept not their first estate. What's our first estate? Our first estate was to keep the law, statutes, and commandments, to obey the Most High. You see what I'm saying? To be in rulership. You know what I mean? That was our first estate, and we lost that. We lost our way. We turned on the Most High. We weren't obedient. We sinned. We fell into idolatry, all kind of stuff, right? We lost our first estate. And the people that stay in that estate and don't put off that filthy garment, you know what I'm saying, and change into the new garment, there's a place for you. All right. Let's go to Matthew 13. Matthew 13 and 42. Matthew 13 and 42 says, and shall cast them into a furnace of fire. There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. You see what I'm saying? Like it always talks about wailing and weeping and gnashing of teeth. Like, gnashing of teeth is like just, you know what I mean? Like you can't bear it. You know what I'm saying? This is what's in store for the people that can't put off their filthy garment. The people that do not have on a wedding garment. You see what I'm saying? That is what's in store for them. You know what I mean? All right, let's go back. Matthew 22:14 says, "For many are called, but few are chosen." Right? Let's go to Matthew 7:13. 13 and 14. Matthew chapter 7, verse 13. Says, "Enter ye in at the straight gate." Now, let me see. So the straight gate is, hold on, I don't want to be flipping through screens. I'm kind of new to using StreamYard. Priest and Captain DeBach was helping me out earlier. So I'm gonna just get it for you. So straight gate, because I know a lot of people think it's just like a tight little narrow way or something like that. I don't know what the Christian church says, but the straight gate it's something full of obstacles. You know what I'm saying? Like it's hard. It's not necessarily like just tight. You know what I'm saying? It's hard. It's hard to do. It's hard to follow. You see? So enter ye in at the straight gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction, and many there which go in thereat. Because straight is the gate and narrow is the way which leadeth unto life, and few there be that find it. You see, so a lot of our people don't want that. You know what I mean? A lot of our people don't want to deal with hardship. You know what I'm saying? They don't want the difficulty of getting into the kingdom. This is why Christianity be like, oh yeah, everybody could be saved. Just ask for forgiveness and believe in Christ. You know what I'm saying? And you could be saved. Yeah, but straight is the gate. You know what I'm saying? You can't live walking through the wide gates and open paths and stuff like that and think that that's the way. No, the path is the straight gate, right? Let's stay in Matthew chapter 20. And we're almost done, y'all. Matthew chapter 20 and verse 16. Matthew chapter 20 and verse 16 says, "So the last shall be first, and the first last. For many be called, but few chosen." Right? Many are called, but few are chosen. And that goes back to, the servants bidding everyone to the wedding. But only some can make it. Only some can come. You see what I'm saying? Only some can come. Let me see if I want this first. Okay. Let's go to the book of Luke, chapter 13, and verse 23 and 24. Book of Luke, chapter 13, verse 23 and 24. Says, "Then said one unto him, Lord, are there few that be saved? And he said unto them, strive to enter in at the straight gate." See what I'm saying? Straight is the gate. "For many, I say unto you, will seek to enter in and shall not be able to." You see what I'm saying? So just like it said in Matthew 22, that man came to the wedding, but he had on no wedding garment. You know what I mean? Some will seek to get in, but remember, Yahushua said, he'll tell you, "I never knew you." You know what I'm saying? This is the types of things that we keep in mind. Matter of fact, where are we at? 22 and 14, right? For many are called, but few are chosen. And I'm going to go to one more verse and then we can wrap it up. I'm going to go to John chapter 15 and verse 16. And it always pops in my mind, especially when it talks about being chosen. Many are called, but few are chosen. This is John chapter 15, verse 16. Ye have not chosen me. That's one. So when people be like, oh, I found Jesus, you know what I'm saying? I'm saved and sanctified. I found Jesus. I found God. You know what I mean? Yahushua said, ye have not chosen me, but I have chosen you and ordained you that ye should go and bring forth fruit, and that your fruit should remain, that whatsoever ye shall ask of the Father in my name, he may give it to you. You see what I'm saying? We ain't choose him. He chose us. You see? And I'll end right there. So main thing is you cannot come to the Most High however you want. You see what I'm saying? You can't come as you are. You got to dress to impress. With that, I'll end the lesson and I'll say, I'll give a shout out to LOI Detroit. Follow them, brother. Make sure y'all follow them, brothers. LOI Detroit. They should be having Sabbath class tomorrow, Lord's will. Make sure you follow Lions of Israel. Priests should be having Sabbath class Saturday. If you've seen the little ticker on the bottom, if you're interested, you can definitely contact me at Lions of Israel CO at gmail.com. And definitely follow the LOI Colorado page. That page, like, subscribe, share the classes. And because there is actually more classes on that LOI Colorado YouTube. They just weren't posted live. Okay, so there is actually more classes. So shout out Lions of Israel. And with that, I'll say Shalom.